Tuesday morning. A notification from your county recorder's office. No sender name, no cover letter, just a parcel count. 41 properties transferred into your name overnight. You assume it's a clerical error. By the time you finish your coffee, the number is 14,000. By noon, it's 15 million. Every vacant residential property in the United States. The houses with 3 years of mail piling up against the door. The condos nobody's ever furnished. The foreclosures sitting behind chained gates in towns that lost their factory a decade ago, now carries your name on the title. Verification takes one phone call to a county clerk who reads your own name back to you off the same database you're staring at. The rule arrives by certified letter the next morning. Every property must be legally transferred to a verified occupant within 30 days. Miss the deadline on a single house, and it reverts, without compensation, to the Federal Housing Finance Agency. You don't lose money on the ones you miss. You lose any say in what happens to them. By day 12, on paper, you will have placed more families into homes than every federal housing program combined has managed in a decade. It still won't be close to enough. You don't know that yet. First instinct, start with the easy ones. The empty mansions in Bel Air sitting behind dead, overgrown hedges. The dark, unfurnished beachfront condos in Miami's Brickell corridor that foreign investors bought as line items and never once visited. You sign over 40 of them before lunch. The recipients come off your local housing authority's waitlist, names that have been sitting in a queue for years, some of them since before you woke up owning anything at all. The paperwork is slower than the decision. Title search, lien clearance, a final walkthrough, a notarized deed recorded at the county level. Even free, a house doesn't change hands in an afternoon. By the close of day 1, you've cleared title on 340 homes. 15 million minus 340 is still, for all practical purposes, 15 million. Day 2, a problem nobody mentioned in the certified letter. A free house with no water turned on, no functioning furnace, and lead paint flaking off a 1962 stairwell isn't housing. It's a liability with an address. Before any family can move in, every property needs a habitability inspection, utility activation, and an older stock, asbestos and lead remediation under standards set by the EPA and HUD's own Healthy Homes program. You hadn't budgeted for any of it because giving something away was supposed to be the easy part. You start writing checks just to make your own gift legally livable. Day 3, you stop choosing pretty houses and start choosing by zip code, working straight off HUD's Continuum of Care list, the federal ranking of housing need by county. You hire 40 paralegals just to process deeds. The pace climbs to 3,000 homes a day, then 6. By day 5, the novelty is gone. You stop reading the addresses out loud. Your assistant reads them instead, in the same flat voice she'd use for a grocery list. Day 8, the first real wall. A cluster of vacant farmhouses across 3 counties turns out to be stuck in probate. Heirs who never claimed the estate, ownership frozen by courts for years before you ever existed in this story. You can't legally give away a house that doesn't have clean title, no matter who's waiting for it. 900 homes simply will not move. Day 11, the bigger wall. Nearly 2 million of the vacant properties on your list are bank-owned foreclosures, and the deed is the easy part. The lien underneath belongs to Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac, bundled years ago into mortgage-backed bonds now sitting quietly in pension funds and 401k portfolios you've never heard of. You can sign over the house. You cannot make the debt attached to it disappear, because no department at any loan servicer has ever been built to process the new owner wants to give this away for free. Your team finds a dedicated lien release line at one of the largest servicers in the country. It's staffed by 4 people for the entire eastern half of the United States. Calls go unanswered for days. You found a kind of obligation that doesn't care how generous you're trying to be. Day 13, the houses that do clear hit a different wall, insurance. No carrier will underwrite a vacant property that's sat empty for 5+ years without a fresh inspection, and most of the small regional insurers who'd normally write these policies won't take on thousands of new claims at once. Without a policy, no mortgage-free family can legally close, because most local housing authorities require proof of insurance before releasing voucher-backed move-in assistance. The house is free. The policy to live in it safely is not, and right now it's also not available at any price your team can negotiate fast enough. Day 14. You try converting empty downtown office floors, vacant since long before you arrived, into housing for families still on the list. Zoning kills it on contact. Commercial to residential conversion requires a permitting process that, in most cities, runs longer than the 30 days you have left total. The buildings stay empty. The families stay exactly where they were. Day 15, a quieter problem surfaces in the numbers. Roughly 60,000 of the vacant properties on your list aren't actually empty. People are already living in them, unofficially, some with years-old adverse possession claims working through local courts. You can't hand a house to a family on a waitlist if someone else is already inside it with a legal argument for staying. Your assistant starts a separate folder just for these. It grows every day you don't look at it. Day 17, the volume starts showing up somewhere you didn't plan for, the market itself. Local agents notice entire blocks flooding with newly occupied units that used to be sitting investor inventory. In 3 Sunbelt metros, where vacant investor-owned housing made up a meaningful slice of total listings, prices dropped 9% in a single week, and Zillow's regional index flags it as the sharpest 7-day move on record for those markets. Homebuilders in the same metros pause new permits because nobody competes with free. The National Association of Realtors issues a statement. 2 days later, the Federal Housing Finance Agency issues a sharper one, flagging unusual market distorting activity in residential transfer volume. Nobody says it's about a hurricane. Nobody says your name. They don't have to. Day 19, mortgage lenders in the affected metros start tightening appraisal standards, worried that comparable sale prices nearby have been skewed by transfers with a sale price of 0. Underwriters can't tell their software the difference between a market crash and a gift. To the algorithm, a $0 sale is just a data point, and the data point is dragging every neighboring valuation down with it. Day 21, county recorders' offices in 4 states quietly stop processing bulk deed transfers, citing system strain. It isn't a law, it's a backlog wearing a polite name. Your legal team spends 2 full days getting 1 batch of transfers requeued at a single courthouse. The 30-day clock does not pause to wait for you. Day 24, a congressional committee opens an inquiry into what staffers are calling anomalous residential title activity, worried about contagion reaching the mortgage-backed securities tied to the properties you've already moved. Again, no names. Again, everyone in the room knows exactly whose activity they mean. By day 28, you've placed 1.6 million people into homes that had sat empty for years. On paper, a larger single operation than every federal housing initiative running simultaneously, completed in under a month. It is also less than 12% of where you started. Day 30. The clock runs out. 13.4 million properties revert to federal ownership. The same outcome they were always going to face if you'd never woken up owning any of this, just delayed by 1 month and an enormous amount of paperwork. The houses never changed. The number of people who needed them never changed. What ran out wasn't houses, and it wasn't willing families. It was the machinery sitting between the two. Title offices, lien holders, probate courts, zoning boards, insurance underwriters. None of it built to move at emergency speed, because as far as any of those systems were concerned, there had never been an emergency in the first place. Each one, on its own, made a reasonable decision. None of them were built to ask what happens when 15 million reasonable decisions stack up against a 30-day clock. You didn't end the housing crisis. You proved it was never the houses. The homes were never the bottleneck. The paperwork was the bottleneck the entire time, and the paperwork doesn't know it's supposed to expire in 30 days.